Have you ever looked out your window hoping to see that beautiful flash of red, only to see, well, not much of anything? Today, we are going to dive into how to turn your backyard from a place birds just fly over into a full-blown haven for one of the most beloved songbirds out there, the northern cardinal. Let's get into it. You know, it's one of the most common and frankly frustrating questions. You put out a feeder, you wait, and nothing. But the cardinals are all over the yard next door. It really feels like you threw a big party and nobody came. But what if I told you it's not some big mystery? It's all about understanding what these birds actually want. And the good news is, this is a solvable problem. I mean, the author of our source material, Vince S., was in the exact same boat. He spent years wondering why his yard was getting the cold shoulder. His whole journey from an empty yard to a cardinal hotspot is basically our roadmap today. He learned it's not about luck at all, it's about strategy. So let's start with the first and maybe the most important piece of the puzzle.
All right, first things first. To get guests to come to your party, you gotta serve the right food. And for cardinals, this means you need to understand not just what they eat, but how they like to eat it. Just look at that beak. That strong, cone-shaped bill gives us a massive clue. It's not for delicately picking at tiny little seeds, no way. It's a specialized tool, basically a built-in nutcracker, made for getting through tough shells to the good stuff inside. You pair that with their natural instinct to forage on or near the ground, and well, this simple fact changes everything. So what do you put on the menu? Well, you've got two top contenders here. On one side, you have black oil sunflower seeds. They're packed with fat, they're easy to crack, and cardinals go nuts for them. The catch? So does pretty much every other bird, including some you might not want, like squirrels. Then on the other side, you've got safflower seeds. Cardinals think they're delicious, but a lot of the common bully birds, like grackles and starlings, they tend to turn their beaks up at them. So the choice really comes down to your goal. Do you want a super busy, diverse feeding station, or are you trying to create a more exclusive diner just for cardinals? I love this quote from Audubon because it just nails it. They call black oil sunflower seeds the hamburger of the bird world for a reason. They are a massive crowd pleaser. So if your main goal is just to get cardinals in the door, this is your can't-miss, guaranteed starting point. But hey, feeders are only half the battle. If you want a real long-term strategy, you gotta plant a natural buffet. Think of these plants as all-in-one cardinal resorts. A dogwood tree doesn't just offer berries, it's also a 5-star location for building a nest. Sumac? It provides a critical food source that hangs on deep into the winter when other food is scarce. And elderberry bushes? That's a 2-for-1 deal, attracting protein-rich insects in the spring for the babies and then offering up berries later in the year. So remember, it's not just what you serve, it's how you serve it. Since cardinals are natural ground feeders, a big, sturdy platform feeder is way more inviting to them than one of those little dangling tube feeders. And don't be afraid to just scatter some seed right on the ground. And hey, if you notice a few birds getting territorial, setting up a couple of different feeding stations is a great way to keep the peace. Okay, you've got the food situation dialed in, but if you want cardinals to actually stay, you have to give them a place to drink and bathe. Trust me, water is just as critical as seed, especially during a hot summer or a freezing winter. It is an absolute game changer. Now, if you only remember one single thing from this section, make it this number, 1 to 2 inches. That's it. Most of the bird baths you see in stores are way too deep, and they can actually intimidate cardinals. These guys want to wade in the shallow end, not go for a deep-sea dive. So how do you make the perfect setup? It's really just 3 simple steps. First, go shallow. You can even just add some rocks or pebbles to a deeper bath to create that perfect wading area. Second, location, location, location. Put it about 10 to 15 feet away from some shrubs. That gives them a quick escape route if a predator shows up. And third, make the water move. The sound of dripping or moving water acts like a giant neon sign that says, hey, fresh, clean water over here. And of course, this is a big one. Maintenance is absolutely non-negotiable. A dirty bird bath isn't just gross, it can be really dangerous for the birds by spreading disease. All it takes is a quick scrub and a refresh with clean water once or twice a week to keep your little oasis safe and popular. So, we have food and we have water. The final piece of this trifecta is shelter. Cardinals just won't stick around if they don't feel safe. To build a true haven for them, you have to understand the kind of environment that they are hardwired to look for. I know this term here, edge habitat specialist, sounds a little sciencey, but it's the secret password to understanding cardinals. All it means is that they love places that aren't perfectly manicured. They thrive where they have the safety of dense shrubs and thickets right next to an open space where they can feed. Your yard needs to be a mix of both worlds.
So what does this actually look like in your yard? Well, it means planting dense shrubs like forsythia or lilac. It means having some evergreen trees around that give them cover even in the dead of winter. And it also means you get to embrace what the source calls strategic messiness. And I love that phrase. Things like a brush pile in a corner or leaving some leaf litter under your shrubs. To us, it might look a little untidy, but to a cardinal, it looks like home.
And here is a super important tip that's going to save you some time and money. Skip the nest boxes. See, unlike bluebirds or wrens, cardinals don't use cavities. They're what's called open cup nesters, which means they build their own really intricate little nests deep inside the branches of a dense shrub or tree. Your job isn't to provide the house itself, it's to provide the safe real estate where they can build.
Okay, let's put it all together, because attracting cardinals isn't just a one-time setup. It's about creating an environment that supports them all year long, because their needs totally change with the seasons. This comparison really shows you how much their world shifts. In the spring and summer, it's all about raising a family. That means they desperately need high-protein food like insects for their babies and quiet, undisturbed spots to build a nest. But when fall and winter roll around, the game completely changes. It becomes all about survival. Their diet shifts to high-fat foods like sunflower seeds to generate body heat, and having dense evergreen cover from wind and snow becomes absolutely critical. So the key to long-term success is to start thinking like an ecosystem architect for your own backyard. You want to create layers, from tall trees down to shrubs and then ground cover. And always, always try to choose native plants. Those are the ones that provide the food local birds have evolved to recognize and eat. And please avoid chemical pesticides. Those things wipe out the exact insects that are a critical food source for baby cardinals. As you get started on all this, just keep this quote in your head. It can take a little time for cardinals to discover your yard and decide it's a safe place, so be patient. The changes you make today are absolutely going to pay off, but it might take a season or two before your backyard becomes the new cardinal central of the neighborhood. Creating this kind of paradise is completely within your reach. It just starts with one simple change. So, looking at everything we've talked about, the food, the water, the shelter, what's your first step going to be? Are you going to grab a bag of safflower seeds, put out a shallow dish of water, or maybe just decide not to rake up the leaves under that big shrub? Whatever it is, you're on your way.